Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Welcome to the Aftermath episode of the first year
Hooray!
of this campaign.
Yay!
I'm here with Hillary Levi.
Hello.
And Amanda Joy Condon.
Hiya.
And you guys, neither of you have actually been on an Aftermath episode. We haven't done one of these for this campaign at all.
No, but I've asked lots of questions.
You have.
I've sort of been on an Aftermath when I
yes.
was Realma. Yeah,
We did
like a really brief.
Because I forgot that we used to do them at the end of recordings as well as like the little post interview question.
Yeah.
But you haven't gotten the one where we get questions from the listeners.
Correct.
So this is your first exposure to listener questions.
Oh boy.
Ooh. No, our listeners are awesome. And we have questions from listeners.
Oh my gosh, people want to know things.
I guess they care or like whatever.
I love sharing about myself.
Friday Night Quest players, do they know things? Let's find out.
And the first big question that I have for each of you: how did you get involved with Friday Night Quests? I mean, I know the answer, but the listeners don't.
No, I'm like, Mike, you know this. So Mike was my very first DM. We worked in an office together. We were both assistants.
Yes.
And I had no hobbies or talents or interests. You laugh, but I am not exaggerating.
Okay.
Wait, so this was before you got into Ren Fair?
Yeah. So I had two assistant friends, Mike and my friend Lynn, and Lynn pulled me into Run Fair and Mike pulled me into D&D, and I jumped into both with gusto and abandon and other exciting adjectives. And what was it, Mike? You said July 11th, 2015. 2015. So
it was right after Friday Night Quest started. I was actually pulling you guys in to listen and be like, does this joke work? Should I cut it? Because that is like the first few months of Friday Night Quest when we were like, hey, is this over the line, or like, do I need a sound effect to make it palatable?
Yeah,
like
so
that kind of thing.
I've been listening to Friday Night Quest since the beginning too.
The very beginning.
Oh my word!
Wow.
Wild. And then I play all the time. Like tomorrow, like I don't even know how many campaigns I'm in. I don't even know how many. I think 9.
What?
I think.
Jesus.
I know you're in one with me. No, 3 with me if you count Friday Night Quest.
Yep. And then like there's a couple others.
You play
and
a
then
lot.
I'm running one like even tomorrow, like my coworkers want to start playing, and like I'm crazy and they know it. So tomorrow we're building characters.
Nice. So this is going to be the 9th campaign that you have concurrently, or
Yeah, and I'm running this one.
how many campaigns do you run?
2.
She said with no certainty at all.
I don't know. Okay, it's just like my whole life I had like I said, like I didn't know if I was good at anything. I didn't know if I had any interests, and then I found D&D and I found Ren Fair, and
Both of which I think are very affirming.
yeah,
and uplifting
it's funny because people
hobbies,
ask me if I LARP, and I'm like, I should, because that's the Venn diagram of Ren Fair.
It really is.
Yeah.
But no, it's just I fell into it because it's so nice to like be good at something and then have a passion for it and feel good about it. And yeah, like when you asked me to like be on FNQ, like I was just so happy because it kind of showed like, hey Amanda, like you're good at something, people want to play with you, people enjoy playing with you, and just makes me happy.
Yeah. We love having you as part of the show, and Ivy. We'll talk a lot about Ivy in a few minutes, but first let's pivot over to Hillary. And you were a part of the first campaign as a guest star, as we alluded.
So I started playing D&D in 2009, so like 10 years ago.
Wow,
and yes.
Because I guess it's 2019.
Yes, it is 2019. Surprise.
Do you remember?
Almost.
Live
It's
in Blade
not.
Runner.
Now,
It is almost
for
not.
Amanda, I happen to have the exact date when she started. Do you know the exact date you started playing?
I know it was probably in the spring or summer.
Okay.
Because I had met the woman who introduced me to it, one of my very best friends, Katrina, and who works in video games now. And we met in February of 2019. And so it had to have been, I think, a few months in. So it had to have been the spring, and I think maybe the summer, because I think or like towards the end of the semester, because I know
this was
my
college.
first DM. So my first DM was like my sophomore year of college, and my first DM, Nathan, I think he had just graduated or already graduated and was like trying to find a job. So yeah, it had to have been like, I know it was warm. So I learned on 3.5. And then I completely skipped 4th edition. So like I stopped playing and like 4th edition happened.
A lot of people did.
And I was like, oh,
you are not in the minority.
No, I know, but I was like sort of missed that everyone was mad about it. And I was like, oh,
that's the funniest thing to
okay.
me is that you just didn't. It wasn't why you didn't play it, but that was happening.
But it was happening at the same time. And it's so funny now being the exec on Harmon Quest, which is Pathfinder.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I basically played that game. Yeah. So then in terms of how I got on FNQ, so it's, I went to college with Todd Levin,
who has been a friend of Partial Arc from the very beginning. He was one of our contributors on our earlier podcast, and he was on Friday Night Quests in season 6 as one of Horace's brothers.
Yeah. So he was the co-host of Blockbuster Smash Up.
That's right.
And Todd actually was with me. He went with me to the first Coachella I ever went to. And
Really?
he was like my guide. It was like, I could not have ever done it. Yeah. So I never would have been able to like do that without him. And it had to have been 2016 because I know it was like, I think it had to have been in the spring because I quit my job in February and then I started working at Freeform in July. So yeah, I was in between there because I was working at this really terrible job. And Todd was like, oh, you do freelance screenplay coverage, which is like you read a script and you write like the log line and like what the genre is and what it's about, and then you do the summary and then you give comments and thoughts on it. And since I wanted to be a development executive, he was like, oh, you know about like story structure and stuff. Do you want to like come on this podcast, Blockbuster Smash Up, when this is what we do, and we take a critically bad movie and a critically good movie and we make a new movie out of it? And honestly, I was like, I'm not funny, and like I don't have an improv background. I don't know what the fuck this is gonna be, but like, okay, I'm happy to like give my professional expertise about how the hell you're gonna put these movies together that I've never seen before.
Right.
And I did 4 episodes with them. I did the last episode as well.
That's right, you did.
And he introduced me to you, and I honestly thought you were gonna have me on Because Comics. Because it was so strange. I was like, oh, like, because I worked at a comic book publisher.
Yeah, we definitely talked
about it.
We just nenever figured out a format for that show for guests. Because, like, the whole premise of that show is explaining a comic to usually Jay, of like, hey, we read this, and, like, we just never quite figured out, like, what is it like with 3? Is it 2 people explaining a comic, or is it 1 person explaining it to 2?
So I was really surprised when you hit me up and you didn't ask me to be on Because Comics.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I guess, all right. And you want to be in the D&D podcast on Friday Night Quest? And I was like, well, sure. Like, not knowing that this is kind of like one of your flagship shows.
Yeah, because that one was basically, like, we knew what guests on Friday Night Quest needed to be, and we're like, it was like, well, we've got episodes of her being funny and having good rapport, and we know she has a D&D background, so it was like, this is something we know we can do.
So I ended up playing this tiefling rogue.
Yes.
Kitty.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, real me.
Every time you like mention that, I just always think of Kitty. Like even just privately, like when like Jeremy or whatever, I'm like Kitty.
It's me, Kitty. Yeah,
because Prince Horace Kemp thought that all tieflings were cats.
Yes. Which, I mean, is fine. I love cats. I have a cat. So, yeah. And then for some reason, you asked me to come back for Adventures of Gorma Volume 2.
I mean, that was just a perfect fit because we knew we wanted to do a Shimmer City side quest with Gormo.
Gotcha.
Because we had established,
I forgot it was,
Well, we established, like, Gormo had a secret family in Shimmer City, which never came up in the side adventure. And I was, like, hinting that we could go there, and then just Jay never took the bait. I was like, all right, I guess whatever. We're never going to talk about that family again. Kind of why we said it there.
You know, that sounds so incredibly D&D, though.
It really is, though. And
check out this little plate of plot here. Now I'm gonna go for this piece of toast.
and we also wanted to fill that adventure with cast members who had a relation to Horace, and like Isolde made perfect sense because she was gonna marry him, and you know, Stu is this weird anti-Horace, like full of charity, humble, and Rialma.
Stu was great.
Yeah, Stu was fantastic, and Rialma had the history with like you knew Horace from before,
and I
the
lived
Velvet
in Shimmer
League
City.
and you lived in Shimmer City, so it was a great opportunity to get everyone together.
So yeah, and then also I now play in a weekly game with you as the DM currently.
You are in my all druid game.
All druid game.
God, I want to be in that game so bad.
It's
Aren't you
about
guys
to-
like ending it?
We have like one session left.
Yes, we are. When next we play, you guys will roll initiative against an ancient red dragon, and then that
Hopefully that'll be it.
The
well,
thing is,
one
in
way or
all-
another.
If you don't TPK us like you always do,
An all druid game has never sounded more me.
it's
I
great.
don't know how I'm not a part of it, but
Well, I'm Circle of Dreams.
I know.
I know an air genasi. Anyway, so there's that, and then I run a game that I call Champions of Hillsfar, which is essentially I run Rage of Demons, which is like which is an old 2015 Adventurers League series.
That was a bit ago, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's the Adventurers League.
I know,
it's
that's-
Adventurers League. So
Oh.
because the way that my game works is that I have like 20 plus players, but I only let max 6 play at a time. So I wanted to be able to have a way for them to come in and out because everybody like mostly works in entertainment, so everybody's schedules are really messy, and I wanted to like run it every month.
Yeah, that's one of the games I've been trying to get into, and like I'll get so close.
So sorry.
I think I like had to cancel one morning.
You did have to cancel, I think, like one time.
like,
but
like,
we'll
I'm
make
like,
it happen.
And I'm like, oh yeah, hey, I know the game's in an hour, but I can't make it.
But that's why I'm like trying to like get as much over the holidays as like I can, and being like I have all this time off.
I know, because I'm so excited for that character.
It's a great character. I'm really excited.
It's not a druid, guys.
It's great. And so I run that. But I do a super modified version of it because we have to like tell a continuous story and like figure out ways for people to like go in and out of the game, and which is it makes for really great character dynamics because everybody meets somebody new like every time.
Oh, cool.
And that's how like a lot of people have become friends roommates, and it's really, really great. And
You're also not limited by the Adventurers League format of we have to reach this
do
amount
this,
of...
Yeah, and like XP and like all
For those
this.
who don't know, Adventurers League is like an official play that's hosted in like game shops and things like every week, I think, through Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, it's like made to be like official play, and you get certain XP, and like DMs get certain XP, and you can only create characters with stuff from only max 3 rule books.
Right.
So you're not OP. And so basically the first session of in Rage of Demons is called Harriet and Hillsfar, which was recommended to me, or like I read on Reddit that it was really great for first time players and really good as a one shot because you go on 5 different missions. So that was 5 different games.
Yes, that's very good.
I also really like how it's kind of like your name.
Harriet and Hillsfar.
Hillsfar.
Hillsfar. Yeah, it's not
That's
bad
true.
at all,
Like every
actually.
time I get a notification, like Hillary posted in Hillsfar, I'm like, ah.
Oh, I never, because I never see me post in there.
Yeah, you don't see it. It's so funny. Like it always brings like a smile on my face whenever I get that notification.
I'm so glad. And then I've played in the first time Kelly Lynn D'Angelo from Girl Scouts Glory ever DM'd. I was there.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's weird now to know that she's like a famous D&D player.
Oh yeah, I was in like one of her early games too.
Yeah. And then she actually ended up in the same LARP together.
Oh, yes.
We did Vampire the Masquerade with some friends that I know through different ways. I also play in a campaign of Monster of the Week. I've played Cyberpunk Red currently. I've played The Sprawl. So like I love playing all different kinds of games, and I love Dungeons and Dragons is my main love, because there's just like when you know it, you just like you get the mechanics. Everything is so second nature. It's like riding a bike.
I love D&D.
Yeah, and we knew when we were trying to figure out what the cast was going to be like for season 2 / phase 2, as I call it, that we didn't want to just have the same format as before, where it's a party of 3 and a guest, because one, how do you recast Kelly Egan? That's not something we were really looking to do.
Yeah.
And 2, scheduling for that campaign was a nightmare.
I cannot imagine like how you guys were able to schedule with like guests like that.
We had to do like 6-hour blocks on Saturdays.
Oh my god.
Which is hard time commitments. So that was just never going to be in the cards when I'm also now DMing as well as editing and setting up schedules and stuff. So it was like, we gotta just cast a 4. We just have to. And I remember like talking to both of you independently and being like, wait, hold on, this could work really well, because you guys have played together.
No,
we had never played together.
had
I don't
not,
even
okay.
think we had like met. Like
we knew each other from the internet.
Yeah,
we knew
you
each
guys
other.
were Facebook friends.
yeah, because like we have like a million friends in common,
Yeah.
because like we run in the same circles. But like I knew who she was, she knew who I was. And you're like, yeah, Hillary. I'm like, I hope she likes me.
That's
I
right.
felt the same way. I was like, this is the one, like Amanda's the one person I haven't met. And so like, I hope we get along, which I mean, like, look, Mike likes you. So I knew it was going to be fine.
Yeah, like I like have like a lot of really close friends who are close friends with you. And so I'm like, I think I'll like her.
And I knew
I hope
Lynn.
she likes me. Yeah.
Lynn and I definitely ran the
Yeah,
same
and then like
circles,
Nick and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those names don't mean anything.
I know,
to anyone
sorry, guys.
listening.
Sorry.
These big
You had
names.
mentioned, well, Amanda had mentioned Lynn
I did
before.
mention
That's
Lynn.
true. That's true.
Actually, Nick Watson actually is in the podcast community. He's the co-host of Paper Team.
Oh yeah, and like also Lynn is married to Alan, who has been on this podcast before.
Oh, that's right, he has.
We did it.
Yes.
This brings us to our first listener question from DeSquire. A question for the players: what made you choose your race and class? Is it your favorite or something brand new?
I knew I wanted. I've been really loving playing an genasi in Mike's Princes of the Apocalypse game, and I love. It stems from loving Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I just love playing like elemental beings.
Sure.
And in the next game, I'm going to play an Earth genasi.
Yes.
in our
home
all
game.
bard game.
Yes, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and so I was like, I knew that I wanted to play something that was like a little bit closer to me personally. So like Fire Genasi definitely. But I was wavering on whether or not to play a ranger or a fighter, because I love using bow and arrows. I loved range, like crossbows, all that kind of stuff. I love range weapons. But my first love is fighters, because they're fucking tanks. And
the bow and arrow fighter builds are generally fine, but they're not.
They're serviceable.
They're not where they shine.
Yeah, and like I didn't want to play anything that was like too melee dependent. I just don't like doing a whole lot of like close combat, and my fighter was my first class I ever played. So I do have a strong affinity for it, and I do love how fighters kind of generally have this just like, I'm just gonna kill somebody, I'm done now.
Yes.
And that's definitely how I like to play, and that's kind of like why I like to play true neutral characters, even though Althea is not. But usually all my characters just end up being true neutral anyway. And I was talking to Mike, and I was like, I'm just so torn. Like, I love rangers, but I really love fighters, and I kind of like to be a fighter again. And I've played a lot of rangers. And Mike was like, oh, you can just do arcane archer. And I was like, you can do what?
And it's funny because I spoke with a friend of mine, Nathaniel, who's actually the brother of Daniel Fernandez, who played Stu, and Michael Fernandez, who's also been on the show. Nathaniel and I were talking about the arcane archer, and he's like, it just doesn't scale very well. I was like, well, look, we've got a couple of house rules. And he was like, yeah, those will actually make it play really well. So one of the house rules, I don't think it's come up yet, but your arcane shots scale with your proficiency bonus.
We
so, like,
have
you get the
talked
same
about
number.
it. Yes.
So like it hasn't affected
yet.
combat yet.
No.
But things like that. It's not a perfect class,
Yeah.
but it's definitely like gets us a lot closer to what you were looking for.
Yes. And we also roll based off of a different stat than is in the book.
Yeah, it's just one of
Because
those
Mike
things.
fucked it up.
Well, no, what happened is that like any class where it's like, here's the class you use for all your shit, except here's this one ability you have that you need this whole other, and Fighters does it a lot with like, you need that really high intelligence. It's like, but if that's not how you picture your character / not how the roles shake out, like, and it bothers me as well with like barbarians where it's like, you have to have like a really high charisma for this one skill to work. It's like, that bugs me. Why isn't it all just the same umbrella? So we kind of just said, ignore that DC. We'll use this DC instead because it all should just be under the same.
Yeah, I rolled,
number.
and to your credit, Mike, of like really kind of stepping up the quality of the show. Not like the first campaign was bad or anything, but you were like, what you guys roll is like what you're gonna get, because like I appreciate that when DMs push their players to be better and like really think outside the box. And so Mike was like, okay, what you roll is what you roll, and I rolled real low on intelligence, and then we realized my intelligence, he wouldn't let me change it, and then we realized the intelligence stat was the one that you use for arcane archers.
That you're right, I did feck that up. That's why.
And so I was just mad that you wouldn't let me re-roll.
I remember that. Like, I was only half paying attention, so I'm like, oh, Hillary's mad. I don't know what's happening.
It's just normal for me anyway.
Your intelligence score is
currently, or what I rolled.
What you rolled, I guess.
I rolled a 6.
That is so. That's funny. That's the same that Phineas has.
Oh my god!
You guys both have a 6 in intelligence.
Well, I actually have a 9 in intelligence now because I've been bumping it up because I'm like, I'm not going to have low intelligence. My intelligence is still 6. I've been 9.
You've been
charisma.
bumping other things.
I have been bumping my charisma. I think.
We need something. I think I have the highest with 11.
I think you're right.
Oh my god, we're not smart. My intelligence is still 6, but
it kind of plays though to the far traveler, which is your background.
I'm the far traveler background.
But, like, you just have a very different experience.
She's not book smart. She's not book smart. She didn't her background and where she came from, which has not been fully revealed yet.
No,
is not a thing where she did a lot of book learning. High street smarts, low book smarts.
And technically, Quatra does have a 12, which means there is one person in the party with a plus modifier.
Oh boy,
positive modifier to intelligence.
Oh well, excuse me then.
Amanda, why druid and why eladrin?
I love druids with my whole heart. They're my favorite class to play. I play them as often as possible. I love druids. So Izzy was the first druid I ever met. She's chaotic and crazy, and I love that about her. Mm-hmm. And then there are some amazing druids and very popular live stream shows. One in particular that holds my heart, and I love her. Mm-hmm. And she kind of I really like how druids the spell castiness of it. I love how they're support, but they can still stand up for themselves.
Yes.
And also level 20 druids are literally gods, and I adore them. Oh my god.
They're super powered.
They're incredible.
We remember in campaign 1, it was a real milestone whenever Izzy took enough damage to be even close to getting unconscious, because that's just not a thing for druids,
right?
Generally,
druids can do so much. Even on the lower levels, they can become an animal and become very melee. They can cast incredible spells, and I just being able to think outside the box. And there's a lot of problems in D&D, and I like being able to look at my spells and being okay, this is what I can use to solve this. But if I also need to hit something, I can do that too.
Yeah, you're not boxed in. You're not a glass cannon like the wizard.
Exactly. And I just also like how naturey they are, and I just love the vibe. I always think about that iconic druid in the book where she's crouching in her little leather bikini with her with her tiger. I just love
with the antlers.
Yeah, she's got her antlers,
great.
and she's look how cool I am. I can turn into fucking anything at all.
Yeah.
I love it. And
all the druid artwork and Xanathar's as well.
So gorgeous.
I absolutely love.
Yeah, and I know also druids kind of help me find myself. I've learned I'm very much more of a nature person. And I love just the vibe of it all. And I'm I think what I like about druids too is they're kind of pacifist, but they also can hurt things. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it depends on how they're interpreted, but I definitely get what you mean. There's a circle of life aspect to them.
Exactly.
Of a balance of nature is definitely sort of baked into their deal.
It's kind of monk-like.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It is a little where it's listen, I respect all life, but don't step to me.
Exactly.
Neutral. True neutral.
And the eladrin.
Oh, so originally Ivy was going to be a tiefling. Mm-hmm. Almost to the very end, she was going to be a tiefling. I had a whole thing about it. I was really excited about it. And then Mike and I, one of our mini campaigns together, and I don't know, I think we're just sitting on the floor or something. He's like, Manda, look at this thing. It's very you.
It was because Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes had just come out. I was reading the lore on the eladrin, and there was, because the eladrin in 4th edition is where I know them from originally, and they're just high elves essentially. They are to elves what elves are to humans, and there's a version of that eladrin in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Mm-hmm. So as of December 2014, that version existed.
You can still get that on D&D Beyond.
Yeah, that version
absolutely.
Of the eladrin. But then, which I think was just hey, this is the closest there is to the 4th edition one.
Uber elf.
If you want to cross your character over, Uber elf, exactly. But then when they released this other version, I was like, Amanda has to see this.
Yeah, because eladrins are my vibe, Amanda's vibe in general. Mm-hmm. But also a lot, like, 'cause I was really wanting to have some otherness with Ivy. Like, typically, like, a lot of my druids are very like, well, I know about the world, and I'm just this like whatever person. But I wanted something different about Ivy. I wanted her to like have like other be like away, stepped off from everything. And the eladrin is just so perfect for that, and especially like with like Circle of Dreams, I think those two just go hand in hand. And I'm really excited for the upper levels, and how those two will tie in together. I think it's gonna be really special.
It's gonna be a very interesting combination, and it definitely works really well with the backstory and like the sort of personality that has been cultivated around Ivy, which is how she reacts to the world very earnestly and very hard on her sleeve, kind of. What everything means a lot more to her than it normally would to someone else. Exactly.
And like I think like what drew me so much to like the eladrin is like the seasons changing.
Yes.
It's so good. And I don't even know what to say about it. I'm just so excited about it. I remember like literally like Mike, because like Mike was sitting on the floor and I'm on the couch and he's like, Amanda, look at this, and like holds the book up to me and like I swear the heavens opened and it's just like, oh.
Question for the two of you from Tricky Tricks Rin. And this is more a question for like just sort of the group dynamic in general, not for you two. Well, no, it is for you two specifically as well. Did you plan to hate each other in game, or did it just happen and you rolled with it?
I did not expect Ivy to hate Quatra. I thought
that was a really recent development.
Yeah, but like I mean, like
that was
I
2 episodes ago development.
But like I thought she would not like Phineus at all. Like I fully expected her to not like Phineus. And I expected her to like really get along with, because like Ivy and Quatra have like very similar deals.
And you guys got along really well until super recently.
It was
the death of Yosef that broke you two.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked that happened. But you know, like when the characters go in that direction, that's what you do. And I'm like, she's getting really close with Phineus. It's the exact opposite of what I pictured. But I didn't like want to hate people. That's not really how I play my games. But
and Ivy hates very little. She's very slow to hate. I think.
Like she doesn't know what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to be like, she doesn't know like what it means to be like angry, and she doesn't know what it means to like not understand like why someone is doing something. Like she's only ever been like around like one person who treated her one very specific way, and then like animals don't like, you know, it's nature. You know what I mean?
They
like,
don't hate.
They don't hate. They just live their lives. And so she's saying like, oh, what you're doing? Why are you doing this? It's outside of what the circle is. It's outside of what we're used to. Why are you behaving this way? And she's realizing she's uncomfortable with that, but she doesn't know how to put a word to it yet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what about you?
Mike, you set this up from the beginning of like that Ivy and I were starting this journey together.
Yeah.
And so there was really no other way to play this other than, you know, Althea not wanting Ivy to be there, because Althea doesn't want anybody to be there.
Right. That's part of her. We haven't gotten into her backstory,
but
and,
yeah,
and we're not going to do it right now.
Yeah, no, but yeah, she just like, I don't.
She wants privacy.
Leave me alone.
Yes.
And she like came across the worst person.
Yeah, and she's like, she's what the hell? And
it's like the perfect college roommate.
Yeah. It's, oh my God.
Metaphor.
Yeah. Becky, why are you making ramen at 2 a.m.? Like, you know,
you want some?
No. I'm tired. I want to sleep. I have a test in the morning.
It's that first year when you don't get to pick it. It just sort of happens.
It just happens. You. Exactly. Sorry, Lisa, my freshman year roommate. So I think I was the problem roommate. But
I know I was.
You know, you just try your best. But in terms of the rest of the group dynamic, I think I kind of came in not really sure how it was going to act with Quatra. Like, that was going to be strange. I was excited to play with Phineus, but immediately knew that like the way Phineus operates was just not going to work.
Yeah, there's like some like insane things. Like when you and Jay were like fighting with each other, that was intense.
There's a lot of I really I use D&D and have used it for a really long time to be an extension of my therapy. And working in entertainment has been one of the most rewarding and soul-crushing things of my life. So there's been a lot of like, what you're hearing is sometimes things where that's like,
you wish you could say
that I wish I could say to certain people that is not anything about Jay or
and
Jeremy at all.
No, and it's absolutely like Jay is playing a character just like you guys are, and like Phineus deflects.
Yeah.
Like Phineus has things he doesn't want to say.
Yeah.
And And that bothers Althea, like in a really profound way.
Yeah, and it's also been, just the things that have happened in my personal life of like being gaslit and being like, I know that's so incredibly having a parent that gaslights you. And so, it was just one of these things of like, I know how to play this. I have a very super light acting background, but I was like, this is it. This is the way in. We're ready for a fucking fight. Let's go.
And I'm like, I really like Althea and Phineas' relationship.
Because it's so funny because like they align on so much. Because they very much like when they're trying to make decisions.
But they refuse to admit it.
Well, no, I mean,
because I don't see that at all.
Well, it's funny because when you guys are making decisions for the group, like you guys match on a lot of things because you have world experience that Quatra and Ivy don't. So there'll be moments when like you two take each other aside and say, hey, I don't know if this is a good idea. Yeah, you're right. I don't agree. And those.
I think that's only recently though.
I'm thinking back to like the first entr'acte when like there's the light in the forest and Ivy's like, I want to follow it. And both you and Phineas were like, this is not a good idea. Like, this is bad. Or no, it was even earlier than that. It was Jinhee. When Jinhee was brought in by Ivy, and you guys had just come off the first big argument, when you're in the room with Octavia. And then immediately Ivy brings this new thing and you both are like, no, this is a bad idea.
I think it's perhaps, it's harder for me to see because I love getting into her and like the way that I wrote her. Yeah. Her backstory is such an amalgam of not just like stories that I love, but it's also super based in my own life. And so I wanted to make, it's funny because like I didn't want to make a proxy for me, but I knew I wanted to put some things in there that like I knew I need to work through.
Sure.
So I think what the deal is with bumping up against Phineas is that they both have a lot of world experience, and while they may agree on certain things of like, don't go into the creepy forest, they agree on what the situation is, but come out with complete opposite interpretations of what the correct answer is. And it's like, they both are so black and white about it.
Yes,
that's what I think is like like what makes you guys so similar. Like
it's two halves of the same coin.
Yeah.
Exactly,
two sides of the same coin.
There's definitely a sense that like you both have a bit of a chip on your shoulder, but
yes,
there's much more optimism in Phineas to a degree.
There is,
which I think, which is funny because like he's not pulling back the veil, but he's a College of Whispers bard, and there's some shady powers that he's used before, and he's a liar and uses spells and stuff.
Both of them are not hiding both of them are hiding their true selves.
Yes,
Phineas for one reason that we don't know, and Althea for the fact that she just really can't tell anybody who she is right now.
Right, for other reasons that we have not disclosed. Her privacy is important.
It's okay, guys. I also don't know what they're talking about. They keep like looking at each other. I'm like, I know.
Totally.
Well, Amanda, here's a question for you from Gabe on our Discord server. Playing Ivy, do you feel that her worldview and compass are being affected by the choices made by other characters she looks up to?
Oh, 100%.
Can you elaborate more on how, like, when Althea makes a decision or Phineas makes a decision, or now Quatra is in a not high on her list, but before when Quatra was someone that she respected more.
Well, the thing is, like, she doesn't, like, when you don't know what to do in the world, you're looking around at people that you kind of trust, and even though she is upset at Quatra, she still trusts Quatra because Quatra, it's that she doesn't know any better.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, when you only have like certain people in your life and you see the decisions that they make and that's all you see, that's what you're going to learn from.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like how we kind of joking like about like how like she's like learning sarcasm from like Phineas, but she's learning like a lot of things from like these people who like are not that they're not good people, but they don't know themselves. Like they're like they're hiding things and they have histories that she's not really aware of. Like she doesn't know people have lives outside of what she sees.
Yeah.
So
she's told pretty much everyone everything that she knows about her backstory, basically.
Yeah, she takes everything at face value.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not big, and just because she has no choice and she doesn't know you don't have to do that.
One of my favorite moments is when you asked, and it's happened a couple times, but finally the conversation happened when you were like, why is it okay to kill this person, but not this person? And it was one of those things like, I've never been in a D&D party where that question was raised.
Yeah.
It was always just like, we operate on action movie rules. We know who to kill and we know who to not. or we may disagree, like we have to kill this person, no, keep them alive for questioning. That's usually the extent of which happened in the game as well. That happened with Aldo, which is, do we kill him or keep him alive for questioning? And that happened on the first campaign a couple of times. But with Ivy, it's like, but why this one and not this? And it was like, well,
and even
we don't have a great explanation of why we don't kill the Platinum Panther other than that's not what. Well, and I love that stuff.
And and it's just kind of like what it is. Like what she's saying is like, oh, sometimes we don't, and sometimes we do, because like that's what it is.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
She doesn't know the finesse.
She doesn't know the finesse of it, and so I'm just waiting for a time when that is not going to be a good situation to be in. But I'm trying, like, it's really hard because it's so hard to like be like, okay, what does she know? Like everything that's so hard. Like I feel like I'm screwing it up.
I think we've actually pretty consistent, and there are definitely, I think that more and more time that you spend, it helped that you guys were in a city for several episodes. It's like we can assume a lot of cultural osmosis through that. And there's other things that like you may have heard about but not really get. So we can always come back to, like it was a while before you finally asked, like, why would we want more gold pieces? And I was like, oh wait, we haven't explained commerce.
Like I said, like, because I like went to go buy those puppets and I'm like, fuck.
I don't have money.
I can't believe it worked.
Well, the last episode.
No, Quatra gave you money.
Yeah.
I thought I didn't buy it.
No, he gave you money.
I don't remember that at all.
But then in the last episode, there was like, they were giving us like 200 gold. Lady Thorne was going to give us 200 gold pieces each. And you were like, we already have the money. And I'm like, we can have more money on top of it.
No, yes, we already have 200. We're good. Thank you.
That is the amount of money that I understand that we have.
We can have double that.
The really funny thing, and I just keep coming back to how serendipitous it was, is that Quatra, Jeremy and I had a conversation about the game of coins as this like meditative.
The fuck is the game of coins?
It's sort of like a Chinese checkers analog.
Wait, are there actual rules?
Not written rules, but like that was something we discussed as like an idea. It was like, this is
like,
a game that he plays.
I always thought Jeremy was just like fucking with me, and there weren't actual things.
That was a thing that we had discussed. We didn't have a rule set.
Is it like Go?
I don't know Go.
It's another old Chinese game that you play with like black and white, like
probably. I mean,
it's very complicated, and there's
the
like
sort of
million ways to win.
Are there fish hooks?
The sort of gist is that we discussed it as this is a game that he plays. We don't have a rule set for coins. One of our fans is welcome to create one. All we do is like there's no board. You play on the floor. Yeah, that's all we knew about it.
Yeah,
and then it became this really fascinating bonding experience between Ivy and Quatra because they don't sleep. Yeah. They have the same night schedules. So it just made sense. Like, the elves stay up. The elves stay up and they learned this game. And now we have a way to introduce the concept of money, but not in the real concept of money way.
Yeah, like that's
just fish hooks.
Like just the movement of metal pieces.
Yeah, like that's Ivy's introduction to money.
Is the game of coins.
Is the game of coins. And like what, like I just like backtracking because I just like thought about it. Like if all of Ivy's like open to the world is a D&D adventuring campaign, I feel like that can make you either super chaotic or super evil.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also something to be worried about, I guess.
It's also such a great testament to Jeremy's skills as an improver.
Yes.
Because like 3 trebuchets. And I'm like, what the fuck does he come up with this?
Like, I was like, fuck, do I have to learn rules? Like, I almost passed him like, Jeremy, what are the rules? Like, I have to know.
Nope, there's no such thing. It's just Jeremy, just riffing.
Playing with him is magical.
He's
magical.
So good.
It's really funny because when you're the DM, it's really like training with the weights on. It's just like, okay, everything I say, Jeremy will capitalize on. Like the slightest comment, he will turn into a 10-minute sequence. It's like, okay, it's really like you need to be full on ready to play with Jeremy.
I remember like the first time I like played with him was like our test session.
Yes.
And I'm like, holy fuck, it's Horace Kemp. I'm just sitting here like, this is so weird because he is that person, but he's also so smart and so intelligent and so kind.
Yes.
But
you're also
which are all things that Horace Kemp is generally not.
Yeah, it's just so wild. Oh, Jeremy, you're good.
We like Jeremy. We like Jeremy and Jay.
Yes.
But they're busy.
They're good people.
This next one's from Colin Griebner. For Mike. That's you. Does your voice hurt after recording sessions from all the character voices?
My voice only hurt in one session. And it was when I was sick. It was session you guys met Zal, the fire giant, and it was also the session when Hillary, when Althea went to the temple, and I already knew that priest was going to have like a Matthew McConaughey voice, so I was like, this is fine. For whatever reason, every other NPC also had a southern accent because it was like the only one I could do. I was so stuffed up. And going back and listening to that episode, I put the fire giant filter over Zal's voice, but my voice was so low, she's practically unintelligible in that episode. Oh
my god!
It was just this, and it was like I can't. But so like generally my voice is fine, but my brain hurts. Like after the first dinner that you guys had in Matet, where there are 8 discrete NPCs in the room, and because we established
set that up.
I don't know. Yeah, this was you, man.
I set it up because I wanted just to introduce the 3 lords and ladies who are the nobles who trade through Matet. That was Lady Thorn, that was Lord Moon, that was Lord Devereaux. We obviously had the Baron and his intended, who was a Margrave Sargi.
Oh, my girl.
And then we had the 3 people who were in charge of like the houses, the government houses, which was the Wild House with Thelonious, who barely speaks because he wasn't really, no one was talking to him. So it was like, well, give him a book and he's just fine. And then there was Lord Bjorn Bay and Dame Eleanor Dunn. So after that recording, after that episode, I was just like, okay. And the next episode was just you guys talking. And I was like, oh, good. I don't need to, I just can just watch.
Can we just talk about my favorite NPC voice ever?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yosef.
I love Lord Moon.
Lord Moon was fun.
great.
Lord Moon is my Peter Lorre voice, although he evolved into something else.
I was about to say, is that Peter Lorre?
Initially, and then like all the voices kind of evolved into something else once you
He's so creepy. Like, I'm really happy for him.
No, he's such a sweet tiefling.
Yeah, he's so sweet, but his voice, like, and you guys, the face Mike makes when he does it.
And the Mike has this, he characterizes with his hands, like, a lot.
I believe it.
And it's just this, he holds them kind of close to his face.
Yeah, he like hunches up, like he hunches up his shoulders, he leans into the microphone.
He curves his hands like he's about to grab a globe. Like it's... like he's
and then like his eyes roll slightly into his head. Yeah, not all of it, but just a bit. He's like,
well, because I tilt my head down and the eyes are kind of up. So
and then he sometimes he does like he's offering you like a plate of goodies. Like
I can
it's
always...
a little bit. The body language you're doing is a little bit like chitty chitty bang bang. Children.
Yes, that's exactly how I visualize him. That's exactly how I see Lord Moon. Yeah. I didn't realize it, but until I'm like, that is the image in my head. But
that whole session was just like, I want to give you guys people to play off of, and boy, oh boy, because I didn't know who you guys would talk to. I didn't know the fact that you ended up, Amanda, talking to Lady Thorn.
She fucks.
I have a question about Lady Thorn.
Yes.
Was the intent for Lady Thorn that she would fuck whoever interacted with her, or was it like, ooh, now I want to play this because Ivy is so unsuspecting? Like, how did you figure out that like Lady Thorn was going to be like real into it?
She was going to be whoever was talking to Lady Thorn fucks. Lady Thorn is into it.
Yeah, and then
Ivy was always Lady Thorn.
The fact that Ivy came over and ate off her plate.
Yeah, that was like, green light, here we go. She's down to clown, Lady Thorn.
Oh wait, no, she's not down to clown. She's just clowning around.
And so yeah, she was basically like, it's funny because what only came up once, like way later in the campaign, is that she's the gossip. She's the person who knows a lot of like, which you guys ended up using a lot to your benefit, like in the last third of that arc. Like you guys went to her and she was like, here's all the exposition and like all of this stuff. And you guys had deduced a lot of it by that point because you'd had run-ins with like Aldo Bay's individual, like his team and people like that. You know, she had a lot of repetitive information, but it still was like, this is how I thought she would be in the campaign. The love interest angle was a complete, like, I thought she would be like, oh, and she also like will have like, well, she's down for a fling in the sheets with whoever. But when it was like Ivy, who is impressionable as hell, and now we have to explain arrows and targets, I was like, oh, this is a gift. This is a beautiful coincidence. Whereas like Phineus happened to sit down next to the exposition people, which was Lord Bay and Lady Dunn. So he got a lot of info on like, hey, the Platinum Panther exists and there's tension between these two houses. And that was important and relevant stuff.
That's
for
a
sure.
good gift for Jay.
Yeah, and like Phineas is very much a detective, especially in that arc. So it was like, he was like, for Jay, it's like, no, exposition, yum. Like, he loves that stuff. And then you ended up, I think, Althea, you wound up
with Lord Devereux.
Lord Devereux, which was just like, he was just going to be like charming and like kind of a little sleazy, but like not to the point of like, he doesn't do it on purpose. He's not a predatory kind of guy. He's just a little overly forward.
Yeah, and Althea does not like that.
Althea is not that kind of person.
Nope.
But he was still like, well, I wanted to get to know you guys, and I want, his goal was to kind of like get close to you and alleviate suspicion of himself
as being the Platinum
Panther. And then Lord Moon was like a rebellion leader. Like Lord Moon's whole deal is like, I'm starting a rebellion, and I need to figure out if I can trust these people or if they're an issue.
And we're like both.
And both was in fact
Jeremy's like, I love you.
And that ended up being really interesting when Quatra fell hard for Lord Moon.
No, it was Jeremy.
When Jeremy fell hard for Lord Moon, and then we have the betrayal on Lord Moon from all those men. It's like, okay, now we care about this NPC and we don't want him to get injured. I was like, this worked out so well. Like, and the one thing about that scene is there was supposed to be another person. Jinhee was supposed to be at the dinner. And about halfway through, I was like, I never introduced her. Well, she and her dad are on really bad terms from like years ago for reasons that just have never come to light, and honestly are really more their business than yours.
I have suspicions about Jinhee.
They have like a rough history.
I mean, that's obvious.
I mean, she is his heir, and she joined the church.
Yeah.
So, like, that really set up his plans in a really bad way. Like, that put him in a vulnerable position.
He's like, great, now I gotta marry an elf.
Well, for a couple of reasons now he has to marry an elf, but that hurt his political situation dramatically. So when I was like, oh, she's not at dinner, that's fine.
One less voice.
So then way later on, when you guys are having dinner with Devereux, and he's like, I don't trust Jinhee, and here's all these reasons I don't trust her, and you guys rolled an insight check, and it was like, no, this is all bullshit. He is lying through his teeth because he thinks it would be convenient. He just wants to get you out of the house. Yeah. He just wants to get rid of you. But that was the one where it was like, my voice didn't hurt because I practice NPC voices a lot before I roll them, with the exception of, let's say, spontaneous good boys who you guys recruit to your mission.
Yes.
Clarence.
Oh, Batman.
Oh, little Batman.
Little bat boy.
Which is not how he was designed, but he developed so quickly.
This is who he is.
My time has come.
Do not deny him his true self, Mike.
Anyway.
There's another question from Discord for you, Mike. It's from McMangus.
Oh, yeah.
But there's two C's, so maybe it's McCmangus. I'm sorry. I'm butchering it.
That's okay.
With both a druid and a bard in the party, are you ever concerned they may one day realize their potential and conspire to rule the world?
I mean, yes. I run an all druid game, and we're about to play in an all bard game. I know these are both very powerful and very robust classes, and thank God that Phineas has an intelligence of 6 and a really low arcana, because if he had a higher ability to like find spell scrolls and stuff, like I would be in deep trouble.
Also, Jay and I'm so excited for whatever the fuck it is we're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are going to be a very interesting conspiracy of characters, because what's funny is, and having played a wizard with a druid in the party on Friday Night Quests, you end up just sort of sitting and talking a lot about spells and like what can be handy, especially when like you're a wizard. I mean, wizards can prepare some spells. Bards, it's level by level. So Jay is kind of locked into whatever he chooses, same way I was. But based on what he has, he can conspire with you, like I did with Kelly, and kind of be like, okay, situation we're heading into, what do you have? What do you know? It helps that you've been playing a druid for years and played many versions of it. So you know those spells like the back of your hand.
And I can do some good things with those spells.
Yes
I'm just looking back to the time when I sent a bunch of gorillas to a basement.
To beat up a bunch of vampires.
Or I turned a baby into a eagle.
That was, to save a baby, she turned it into a giant eagle. And suddenly it went from being like the potential victim of like monsters to
was it polymorph?
It was polymorph.
Yeah, to a very helpful ally. Yeah.
Wow.
That was an A+ spell usage for sure.
Bravo.
I just loved it. It was like my favorite thing about like the druid spells, because they're so chaotic, is like I'm like, I know what I'm gonna do, and I sit there and I'm like, oh, I'm about to throw a fucking wrench in all of this. So yes, he should be worried.
Yeah, I am a little bit, but we'll have to. It's really just going to depend on what you guys end up do it.
Look, chaos is fun.
It is. Yeah, I'm prepared for whatever you guys throw at me. I allow you to use healing spirit. I know what I'm getting myself into. Question for you two from Little Pink Fox on Discord. Do any of you ever get stuck for fun/interesting ideas when building a character? How do you get unstuck? Or do you have favorite resources for inspiration?
What I like to do, because like especially like lately, because like I've been like I love druids and I play them all the time, but I've kind of wanted to like leap outside of that. So I look at the player's handbook and like especially the extended thing like Xanathars. Is that what I'm?
Yeah.
Xanathars. I kind of go through and like look at the artwork and I look at the stories, and they have like the grids where you can like roll backstories and stuff. So
I love that chapter of Xanathars.
It's so good. And like you don't have to like know it, like you don't have to know like your character's backstory, like you don't have to know like even their name. Like if you just like, I like this picture of a monk, and you're like, oh, and I like this and I like this one class, like the Drunken Master, that's fun too. And then like I remember I saw this like picture of this cool cat on Tumblr, and I'm like, oh, I like that cat. And then combine it together, like, oh, I have a Tabaxi monk now. It's just, what do you like? And like there's like a lot of resources, and you can even just like play characters that like are familiar to you, and because there's a lot of D&D shows around, like, and if you just kind of model your character around that, that's fine. Like,
especially to start off, like it gives you kind of like somewhere to begin. You say like, this is an impression of Taco from Adventure Zone, or it's an impression of John McClane from Die Hard. Like it is something for you to kind of start with and say, this is where I want to begin.
Exactly. And it's like also like the first thing you want to do, like when you build a character, is you want to think like, how do I want to play? Like, do I want to hit hard? Like, I'm not a person who likes to hit. Like, I don't like to be in the middle of it. I'm still super bad at rolling damage and stuff. Like, I've played with you guys, I think, when I try to hit something and I was so bad at it. But, like, do you like to cast spells? And, like, there's, like, just, like, go in the spell area and look at that. Like, just know, how do I want to fight, and go from there. Like, you don't have to, like, immediately jump into it. Just look at it piece by piece. So, that's my advice.
Yeah. I get real super into, I love character creation, and I love spending a lot of time on it. And it's not that I get stuck, it's that I like to be super particular and thoughtful about how and why a character would do things. And this is the one thing that I sort of carry over from like acting classes, is just like having an answer for everything. Always knowing, like Mike will text me like questions sometimes just randomly. I'm sure, I mean, I don't know if he does this to you. Oh yeah. But like what's the gender of this person that you know? And I will be like, I know the answer immediately. And it's not because I haven't thought, it's not because I like remember it. It's just like, I know immediately what the answer is for the most part. Because like I spent so much time like learning about Althea and like spending time in her head. I like to start off with what kind of journey I personally want to go on. Like I like to start off with like, what is the, I know this sounds weird, but like, what is like the work I want my character to do? Like, what is the emotional arc that I want to give them? And like, what are the demons that I want them to tackle? Yes. And so that's
a great way to put it.
I love it. I love it because usually they're the demons that like I'm personally trying to tackle in my own life or like trying to work out. And so if I have a way to sort of have an external way of like thinking about my problems from a third person perspective, or like, you know, kind of third person, then maybe I'll solve my problems from like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. And then so from there, it's like, okay, what race would embody would have that kind of things? Like, kind of like what kind of, or sometimes it's class first, and it's like, okay, class. And then it's sort of, I backtrack that into like, why would this race in this class be struggling with these problems? And you just sort of like work from there. And I do a lot of research into the backstories of each of the races, like race, like I really spend a lot of time reading about like what, like one time I was playing an Aasimar, just like on a one-off, like an Aasimar ranger, just one night. Yeah. But I had this whole backstory with her because I was like super fascinated about the fact that like Aasimar are like these like lawful good protectors, and like they defend people from demons. And I was like, why would an Aasimar ever be a ranger? Like, why would they just not be a fighter? Sure. And like, why would they go live in the woods by themselves? Like that makes no sense. So I like came up with this really cool backstory about how she like didn't actually want to do it, but she still felt like she had to fight demons. And you know, it's just you sort of pull from there. But I also pull a lot from movies. as well.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what movie it is, but part of Althea's backstory is
Yes.
inspired by a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Have you guys seen the movie Tangled? Because that's Ivy.
Have you guys watched the first episode of American Gods? Because that's Sweeney. Literally, he's in it.
But so I think that's where it is. It's like if you have like a favorite character or a trope that like you love in movies, I think, or TV shows, that is, or comic books or whatever, I think pulling from that is really fun and interesting. Of like, especially when you're like, well, how would I do it if that happened to me? And it's fun because you get to, especially if like you found it to be unsatisfying in the movie or the TV show, then you can do it the way you want to.
That leads me into what I was going to say, which is be prepared to come up with a character that you don't know the final answer to, because it's way more interesting. Like if you look at a story and you're like, I love this character and I would love to see this, and this happen, that is a novel. That's a story. You can write it. Absolutely. That is the way to do it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of not, and I've gone into D&D characters before where like, this is what I want to do. And it's like, that's not how the game works. And that's not what the dice want from you. The dice want to kill you early. You have to fight against that.
Yeah.
And so like, what do you, like trying to find a character who, instead of having a beginning and an end, you have an opening question. And ideally you have a dungeon master who can know where you're going and kind of know what the answer is that you are hoping to come to, but also say, what interesting things can I do to get you there in a way you were not expecting? And you brought up the resources like the player's handbook and the lore and stuff. Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, I remember reading the elf section, and there's an elf that was like, some elves believe in this god so much that they clean up other people, like after other people for them, sometimes before they're finished eating. I was like, that is an Amanda Condon character. and other ones were like, and some elves like, if you kill someone, then you may be tasked to perform the task they had in life. I'm like, that is a Mike Christensen character. Because that is a thing where it's like, I love characters who get a burden or a task or something put upon them that change their worldview. So one of the stories that I like, a biblical story, is the story of Saul. Saul persecuted Christians like mercilessly and ruthlessly until he's struck blind by God, and God's like, cut the shit. Be better. Be better. And then Saul becomes like number one top dog Christian, like he turns all of his awfulness into awesomeness to support them. So my idea was like, I want to play a character who has that bad reputation. The kind of like, hey, we've heard of you and we know you're a paladin now, but we remember when you broke jaws and like hurt people, and that character became Luca in the first All Raven's Eve adventure. But he was kind of just like a dumb half-orc, kind of like, he was so obviously doomed to evil from the beginning of that adventure because it was a very grimdark story. I was like, well, I didn't quite get to answer the question I wanted, which is, what does that feel like? So I kind of, when the campaign of Curse of Strahd came along, I took that idea, kind of revised it, made it an elf cleric, and that became the character that was the sister to Amanda's character. And I was like, okay, this gives me a chance to play with this person found religion way after doing some awful things. Yeah. And now I've kind of answered what that question can be. Now I'm ready to move on to some other questions. If I can also keep playing in the weird Christian sandbox I found myself in. Look at the list of the 7 deadly sins. Yep. Cross out lust, because there's no interesting answer to that question of like, well, what if you overcome it? It's like, one's boring. But if you look at any of the others, those are a great opening problem to have. It's like, I suffer from sloth. I suffer from wrath. I suffer from pride. Because it frames it as not like, I'm the badass who wants vengeance. It's like, my problem is that I'm a badass who wants vengeance, and it's toxic and hurting me. I am not John Wick. I am, someone who has to overcome this. Yeah. And like, this is a problem with my life. Because then you frame it as like, this is not healthy.
Absolutely. And I love that you framed this idea of like the question that you want to ask and answer. I feel like I tried to do that in the document that I sent you for Althea of like, but instead of, I literally have no idea what she's going to learn and discover. And I specifically formulated it so that I wouldn't have an idea of what would happen, because I wanted you to surprise me. Yes. Because I was like, I want to be on my character's on her toes, so I want to be on my toes.
And one of the things, go ahead, please.
I just want to like really clarify, because like what you guys are saying is so brilliant and so good, but I am like coming from a place where like, I am not a writer. I'm not a creative person. Like, I don't like,
I think you're very creative.
Thank you. But I mean, like, I'm not like...
You don't put the words to the
exactly,
page. I totally get what you mean.
I don't ever build my character with a question in mind. And I just want you to know, like, players out there, like, it's okay. Like, D&D's for everyone.
Yes.
You don't. Yeah. Like you don't. Like,
these are just some of our approaches.
Yeah. Like you don't have to like be like, oh fuck, I don't have a question for this. I don't know this and that. Like
no.
I'm not. I know you guys aren't saying that. I just want to make sure that you listeners are hearing this.
There's a lot of different ways. One of the things that Jay and I
Exactly.
talked a lot about with Phineus is that we talked a lot about what is the lie that Phineus believes, about either himself or the world. And that was like really helpful in like getting into Phineus's mind. That is not how Jeremy built Quatra.
Yeah.
That is just not how that is not how he did it. Jeremy built his off of random rolls. We basically said, hey, there are 12 or 13 backgrounds, roll a die to equivalent that he rolled for his background, and it was like, okay, here are personality traits, and that's kind of what he did with Horus as well. Was like those personality traits were random rolls.
That's what is so good about the game. Because here's the thing, because like I built my character completely different how Hilly built hers. Like it's so good, and so like that's why I think it's super important. Like there's no one way to play D&D. There's no one way to build a character. Like if you like how the drawing on that one book looks, like you fucking play that little gnome bard, whatever.
I think it was more about like the question was about like how do you get unstuck of a character.
Oh no, I totally I just want people to feel like, oh, I know.
You don't have to do any of this shit.
No, for sure.
We are so extra.
Yeah, it's really good advice. I just know, like,
there is a website.
Myself, I can't do this. Ivy's backstory is, she doesn't know anything,
but I think that's actually kind of a cool way to like, if you are stuck, then just say you don't know.
Yeah, that's why I love this game.
If you're stuck in character creation, first character I ever had, I did not know her name.
My first character, her name was Tetris.
Yeah,
like the game.
Yeah, like
her father was Pac-Man.
I decided because I couldn't think of a name that I would just reveal one letter of her name every session, and it was like, and then it just ended up being like a name that I borrowed from another character that I love. So like,
good.
You just sort of like, you know what? I'll figure it out, or you make it be like it's a mystery. It's because I don't know.
Also, who the fuck is my D&Dcharacter.com?
Oh,
it's different every time, and I just pulled it up. And an example is, I'm going to roll the stats for a fucking considerate halfling paladin from a small town where nothing ever happened who tries to be a friend to everyone.
That's great.
That isn't, honestly, like, I once took like an afternoon and just rolled like 10 of them and was like, well, like, there's like a conspiracy theorist wizard. That would be really fun. Like,
oh my God, I love that.
A divination wizard, like, who uses it to like totally believes that like there are people out there modifying memories.
They're actually, they're really bad at divination, so they get the wrong message.
Like, that would be fun as hell.
Oh God, I love this game.
It's so great. It's so great.
But I just want to be very clear. I love you. Like, I love your guys' characters.
Except we're assholes. I get it.
No, I just want to make, like, it's so important to me. Like, I don't want somebody to feel like, oh,
no. It was more of like, here's how we do to like get unstuck. But yeah, back to the like, I love the question. I love the question thing because it can, even if you're like, I don't know anything about my characters. The question thing can actually be really good, even if you don't know shit about your characters. You're like, I know I want to play a gnome, and I know I want to play a rogue. So, like, what would a gnome rogue do, like, in this world?
In gnome.
Yeah, when in gnome. Like, the questions don't have to be complex or crazy. They can actually be really straightforward.
Oh yeah, when we were doing the first season of Friday Night Quests, one of the things that we did was like we had really strong personalities to bounce off of. That was our whole thing. So like you can just ask yourself in character creation, like, hey, if you meet like the Velvet League, where you have like weird and wild Izzy, shifty asshole Sweeney, and like preening dandy Horus, which one would you gravitate towards? Who would you hate? And that's a great way. That's what we did with our guests. Is we just like, hey, here are 3 big personalities. What do you want to play with? And that kind of put us in some interesting, like, characters kind of developed out of that more often than not. So that is another way that you can kind of think about it, as well as like if you know who you're playing with, if you know kind of like who else is in the group, like what do you kind of want to play against? Like, what do you kind of want to enjoy?
And also, if you're stuck, you can always chat with your DM as well. And like, look, I don't personally practice the balance party idea theory in my group because people change in and out, but like,
oh yeah, with yours it would be impossible.
It would be impossible, and I prefer having like quote unquote unbalanced parties because I think it makes for more interesting gameplay. But you know, your DM might be like, okay, well, we have like a warlock and a bard and like a fighter, so like maybe you want to be a monk, you know, or something like that. They can. I don't know. I always feel like you're such a great resource, Mike, when especially like, I mean, I would never have picked Arcane Archer if it weren't for you. Like that's,
I was just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So like talking with your DM and talking with your fellow players is like, I'm not really sure, like get that feedback.
Yeah. Like, cause like Mike and I, like we decided to be sisters in that Curse of Strahd campaign just cause we were texting. It just came about. We're like, whoa. And then like, we like went,
and I was like, well, I'm thinking of doing elf. How do you feel about that?
And then elf. And then we like realized like we were both kind of leaning towards like moon themes, so we kind of became like lunar sisters.
That's so dope.
So our first and last names all were different words for moon from different.
That's so great.
Like different cultures and lore and stuff.
Really
but
cool.
like honestly, like if you ask a DM like, hey, what should I play? It's not always about balance. It's sometimes about the DM helping you out and making sure that you don't feel like you're doing the same thing someone else does.
Totally.
Because that can just make you feel like you're not doing it as well if you don't roll as good.
Oh yeah.
Because that sucks.
I have 2 players that are both elf sorcerers, and I was like, both of y'all gotta have different like magic styles.
Oh yeah,
you know,
well, we have a rule going into our bard game. We're not allowed to have the same spells as each other, and so like we're gonna have to.
I forgot about that.
We have to do our fantasy draft soon to pick our spells.
Oh no,
that's gonna be fun.
I'm College of Swords. So
That's gonna be
I'm not
really
I'm not so
interesting.
concerned about spells as much as everyone else.
Pirate bard.
I'm College of Valor.
I guess it is a pirate bard because I don't.
It doesn't have to, but like
it's
just,
more the Battlemaster
It just
bard.
comes in my like I just picture like a really sexy like little like bard with like a sword and like
she's
piratey.
She's
shit.
a giant earth genasi.
That can still be sexy.
I mean, no, she is sexy. I'm just saying, but you made it sound like she was like super nimble, and I'm like, no, she's a tank, and she plays the drums, and her name is Roxanne, but it's spelled Rox ROCKS.
Oh, I love this. I love this.
Genasi.
I'm playing a Goliath named Noise.
Noise. You guys have had me guess in this game.
I want to take a moment to thank a couple of our Patreon backers.
Hey.
We have 2 new backers since the last episode. Indeed. Thank you so much to Roland Miller.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Felix Krukenberg.
You are a boss.
Thank you guys so much. And if you enjoy the Patreon, more stuff is coming very, very soon. We are about to finish. Right now, we've got like one of our very first test games, and the last episode of that goes up in December. It actually ended up being kind of pumpkin pie themed, so that worked out really well for the holidays. And we are about to record something for the beginning of the new year, which I don't want to say anything about, but I am excited. So that is going to be a ton of fun. And if you want to hear it, do the Patreon thing.
Cha-ching.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be so good.
Okie dokie. Mike, I got a question for you from Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Having been part of the first campaign, how different are you looking to make your iteration of FNQ?
Some of that I can't answer until later in the campaign, but definitely wanted to start with more of a sense that we were in the plot early on. Partly because, like, for the first campaign, we were recording that in 2015. We started recording a month before Critical Role premiered, like 6 months after Adventure Zone launched, and like the shape of actual play is just different now.
Yeah.
Like we at the time were modeling it after the One Shot podcast, where it was a different story every month and a different system every month, and the original Acquisitions Incorporated stories before they were like kind of the continuous things they are now. So it was just like they were going to be more one-off adventures, especially with our guest stars. Like they were like month-long adventures. That was the whole premise. So it took a lot longer, I think, very much by design, for the story to start. You know, we kind of touched on that campaign. Like the story sort of started in like the 5th arc, the 5th season. So it was like episode 25 or something, 20-ish, where it was like, oh, this is kind of going to end up being important. But we didn't know it at the time. Whereas in this case, I've been kind of seeding things early on. Like some of the very first things that are heard in that very first episode are going to be important in the final episode of the campaign. So that's been very, very deliberate. And other things I can't say. Because they spoilers.
Can't or won't, Mike.
Yeah, mostly won't.
If you donate at the $10,000 level,
Okay,
Mike
wait.
will tell you the entire story.
I have a question. This is me as a fan and not as a player. So everyone's talking. No, Mike is talking backwards in the end of it. Has anybody like compiled that or reversed it?
One person did, and they didn't post a clip of it. And they didn't say what it was.
Someone on the Discord is, yes, he is communicating with me and confirming it.
I can pretend to talk backwards. Yeah, I've been a very good player. I did not listen to that after thing with Phineus and the doorknob. I've been very good. It's driving me fucking bonkers.
We'll let you know when you can go back and listen to that. Don't worry.
So like when we were playing Curse of Strahd, like Mike would like write his little articles that he does, and then he would like, if you're on the players, don't read after this. And I was so good about not reading after. And the second, like literally, the second I got home after our like final like session of that, I like read all of them.
Yeah, my character had a lot of secrets in that game.
Oh no!
Because my character like ended up with these flaws that were like, I don't trust anyone, and also I long for power. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna answer those questions I set up really interestingly.
But anyway, if you have that backwards speaking at me, bro.
Yeah, at me too. Mike is really good at secrets in the game. In our Princess of the Apocalypse game, there was this one item that had been made by some shyster. And it was totally bogus. Like we thought it was a legit item, and
it was because you guys bought it on downtime, and based on the Xanathar rules, there was a roll required, and you guys rolled like not well enough that there wasn't a complication, and the complication I rolled was this is a fake made by your enemies.
It don't work.
So you guys, and it was a periaptive wound closure. It stabilized you when you fell unconscious.
No!
So when our halfling fell unconscious, and on his turn came around, he was like, it's okay. And I picked a Post-it note off of my computer screen and I showed it to them all.
You're like, I've been waiting for this
and
moment.
I was like, this has been here since May. And I showed them all and they were just like, oh shit.
That is the most Mike story.
It's great. It's
oh my God.
so great.
And I still had to cover the part that said who had made it. Like I couldn't show them that part because they had to go back and find out that information.
Oh my God.
I forget who made it.
It was one of the cults.
Oh, okay.
One of the cults had made it.
All right.
You didn't. I mean, they ended up dying, so it didn't matter.
We killed them.
Yeah, they deaded.
Kilt the cult.
Cult killed.
Cult.
So yeah, that's kind of the big difference is like wanting to have a more continuous, ongoing story from the beginning, and playing more with the format. I think Act 2 was longer than most of our acts will be, but you know, and then actually having recorded our next act, our next one is the shortest Friday Night Quest adventure we've ever recorded. But definitely wanted to play more with like getting you guys in early, and also the Velvet League story started in media res. Like when that story began, we all knew each other and it was sort of assumed that we had a dynamic. And part of the fun of this one was saying, okay, two of these characters met in pairs and now they're meeting together just a couple of days or weeks later, so they don't know each other that well. And that gave us more of an opportunity to actually play with backstories. Like Ivy's backstory doesn't work if we're like, oh yeah, you guys have been traveling together for a while. Like
that doesn't. Yeah, no.
Yeah, Althea's backstory doesn't work with that context either.
No,
like it's just these two don't function that way. They have to be people that you meet as getting together as part of the group.
Otherwise, no one would ever like. I mean, everybody would be like, why does she keep asking Mike what all the soldiers look like?
Yeah, it just.
What color is the flag, Mike?
Yeah, it would be like, what is she doing? Like having it introduced the way it is, like makes more sense. It fulfills the narrative and it gives us someplace really interesting to play with. So
yeah, and if I've been traveling them for a while and she keeps saying, what's this thing? Then she's like, she's just that dumb bitch.
Yeah. Now, question for you two. I included 4 superhero movie references in Act 2 that were like foundational to the structure or details of that act. Did you catch any of them?
No.
It's okay if you did not.
I don't remember.
Like you made a reference to them, or you used them as inspiration?
Use them as inspiration, as like plot
to the
elements.
Last act with the Doctor Strange, right? With the Gravewind?
No, that wasn't a Doctor Strange reference.
Was it a reference?
It was.
Oh. I'm losing this game.
That was a reference to Thor: The Dark World.
Oh,
okay.
So because they're all teleporting in and out of other realities.
Oh, there it is.
I was just like, what if this was
close though?
You were close. You had the right topic.
I was bad far.
The weapon.
It's one of the stones.
It's inspired by Loki's staff from Avengers as like, here's a thing given to you by someone else meant to command an army. The third one is Aldo. Aldo's a reference to another villain from another Marvel movie.
Jonah J. Jameson.
It's definitely from Iron Man. No,
Ronan the Accuser from the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's someone who lost a war and is really bitter about it and decided, no, the war's not over. I'm going to go on a murder tear and also have a big hammer.
Mike, you're so good at superhero.
I
swear I've seen these movies.
The fourth one, I don't expect you guys to get.
I watched
what's
them
the fourth
with
one?
you.
The fourth one is Unbreakable. The members of the Dunn House wear these green ponchos, and the members of the Bay House wear orange armor based on the hero and villain from the climax of that film.
I wouldn't get any of this.
I didn't ask you to.
I would get. I feel like I was like on the tip of my tongue.
And Dunn is David Dunn from that film, so that's why the Dunn House is named Dunn.
Whenever anybody asks me like, "Oh, movie question blank," my mind just leaves everything. Like, maybe people are like, "Oh, what's your favorite movie?" I'm like, I've never seen a movie before in my life.
I don't feel dumb because there's so many superhero movies that I'm like, you could have pulled from fucking anything.
I know. These days, that's a rich vein. And as for the first act, that was all inspired because I knew that because we had a new DM and a new cast and changing the environment, I knew there was a chance that we were jumping the shark. So I had you guys jump over a shark. And I constructed all of Act 1 around that joke.
You happy dazed us.
Yep.
Oh my god.
I wanted to make sure there was a chance for you guys to jump a shark. So I was like, well, how can we do that? So that was the inspiration for the entire first act.
That'll lead into Sam's question.
I met the guys who wrote the Jump the Shark episode. They came, many years, like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
They came in to meet with my boss and me, and I was like, it's all your fault.
You did this.
Did Sam write us some questions?
He did write us questions.
Oh boy.
Have we said who Sam is?
Okay, so Sam is my fiance. Hi, baby.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam. He's my biggest fan. Okay, just kidding. Are you embarrassed yet, Sam? Okay, so, all right, this is a question for Sam.
For Sam?
No, this is a question from Sam for me, probably.
Should I read the question?
Yeah, he talks about this all the time.
I have a question from Sam for you. What happened to Barry the bear, and did you feel bad after Yoshiing the other bear?
Barry the bear is okay. Barry the bear is with you all.
Yes,
Barry was inside the house.
She just doesn't have a lot to say.
Yeah.
But she does exist, Sam.
Is
She's
that
not
how
dead.
you spell Barry?
No.
Oh, okay. It was autocorrect.
I'm sure.
Yeah. He spelled it Barry Barrry when it's Berry, like the berry that you eat.
I thought it was Beary.
No, it's like a berry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to answer the part about Yoshiing the other bear?
Well, how do you guys feel about Yoshiing that bear?
Well, first of all, the word is yote.
No. He's talking about like when like you're playing like Yoshi and like you like jump off and kill him.
I thought he was trying to be like yeet.
No, he's not. He's not that onto the cool terms. Okay, but
yeah, that cool term that we definitely all at the table understand and know.
Okay, but here's
definitely
the thing.
I get what we're doing.
Good job, Mike.
When we made that first bear, I don't think we had established that these were long-term things.
Like, we had not, no.
So I, for one, was like, so looking back, I'm like, I don't think Ivy would have been okay with this. We literally just destroyed that thing. But then this second bear is just as important, is much more important than the first one, which feels really fucked up. And I try not to think about it, but it does keep some of us up at night. Well, i.e. you, Sam.
It does not keep me up at night.
Well, that first, I mean, because the way that item is written in the book is that the animals fade away at dawn the next day when the bag regains the ability. But I didn't want to take those animals away from you all because it would have taught Althea and Phineus the exact wrong lesson. It would have been in a very key moment of trying to form team dynamics. It was like, hey, don't get attached. And I was like, this is not the lesson they should learn in this first episode. Like, they need to form bonds. And also, like, I couldn't give up Snuggles and Gregory, the crime animals. Like, 100% I was not going to give that
Gregory going on a crime spree.
Now, the other thing you could say is that I missed that line when I typed up the description and it was an accident. But I choose to believe it was no, because we talked about it when you're like,
we did.
Because in that episode, you're like, hang on, these animals shouldn't exist anymore. And I was like, but I don't want to. I was like, I thought about it. I was like, I'm not going to take these animals and have this like Infinity War moment of like, oh, Snuggles doesn't exist anymore and Gregory doesn't exist anymore.
Oh
so
my God.
like,
no, you had to do that with Yosef to us.
Yeah.
But
I rolled for that.
so
Yosef had a chance to survive, but
that
like,
this just makes it worse. Okay. So these second two questions are for you, Mike.
Hey, that's me.
The second question is, will there ever be a better NPC boy than Clarence, our good bat boy?
I mean,
my good son.
Clarence is so funny because like I definitely described him as like this sort of Taylor Lautner looking, like I pictured him as like just Taylor Lautner shirtless in front of an American flag being like, I'll fight for you. And that was it. That was all I had. And he immediately got so dumb like and had way more staying power than Taylor Lautner
But he
ever
will
did.
still fight for us.
Oh, for sure. He's loyal as hell. But like almost immediately you guys were like, oh, I don't know about Clarence. I was like, well, then this is who Clarence is. Clarence doesn't read well, like doesn't read the room well, like isn't just kind of like sneaks up on you all. It's like, hey guys, and like
You had to make him like super innocuous, like in order for us to trust him. Otherwise, we'd be like, "What's wrong with you?"
well, that was the funny thing is like because those characters were created on the fly was Clarence and Bree, and I rolled behind the screen to see if either one was going to betray you, and neither one was going to.
Yes.
They were both on your side all the way.
And then the applesauce thing. I think that's what really
applesauce?
He's like someone, he meant to say drink your apple juice, but they said drink your applesauce.
And then I joked like, they don't trust me with spoons. And by that point we were done. There was no regaining dignity for Clarence.
Oh my God.
Like at that point, it was just like, okay, Bree is clearly Clarence's handler. Bree volunteered second for a reason.
She's like,
she's required to. You guys, you don't know. Like, I know you didn't ask, but I'm gonna tell you, I have almost peed my pants on this show so many times. Even as Rialma, just so many times.
Well, Rialma was there for one of the funniest things that's ever happened on this show.
I forget what
the stone on the forehead. It was the shopping montage.
What was the stone on the
It was just this weird like side quest where we're just like, well, let's just go buy something.
Stone.
And this guy and
the
Ivy
stone
was like
got into his
because Izzy was like, I want a stone that kind of speaks to me, and then Jeremy started speaking as the stone and interacting with Jay, and so then afterwards he picked up the stone and goes, I guess the murders have to start again, and then turned into a demon and flew away, and we were just spitting laughter out of our eyes.
I know. I remember because like I used to help like record for the old like FNQ. Like I'd be the one that like hit the button and
yeah, you were our audio producer for a few of those episodes.
There were times I would just sit there and like rock in silent laughter. Oh my God!
One of our other favorites that our producer Andrew thought was hilarious was when we were talking at one point about how we realized that Horace had not wiped his ass in probably about 4 months. And he was like, it's okay. Like here's the trick. You find a cat and the cat will clean itself. And we were just like, oh boy.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Okay. I think, so I don't understand what he's trying to say with this question. So I'm just going to read it verbatim and whichever one of you guys feels like you can answer it.
Okay.
Will directing the dead army and the grave wind to another direction might have any negative consequences for any settlements in that direction?
I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I know what he is, but I can't answer it because I don't know the answer.
The answer is that this is something that should have been clearer in the episode, and that's more my fault. Those things are related but not connected. So you guys did not command the grave wind away. The grave wind was only there for a brief time, and then it vanished.
We commanded the things inside the grave wind, right?
Yes, and and that's not a mechanical.
Excuse me, I did.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So the grave wind comes and goes, and like it doesn't roll across the countryside. Like he's what he's referring to is the way a weather pattern actually moves, but the grave winds kind of move in and out of existence through planes.
So it's not where we are anymore. It's gone.
It shifted to another plane. Like the only reason they knew it was coming is because the Wild House has that telescope on the top of their building, and you guys would know this after having talked to Polonius.
And is like the telescope, does it like look through other planes?
It did. Now it's broken because of the storm, but that is the function that it served, is that it could allow them to see things through other planes. So that's why he was like, oh, here, it's coming our way.
So how it is, so I know it's through other planes, But does it travel through other times simultaneously? Like how long, like, do you know what I mean?
The basic idea is that, like, first of all, there's definitely some fringe science in the world that's like, there's just one grave wind. There are not multiple grave winds. And there's no way to prove that. There is no confirmation. But something can get swept up and stay in the grave wind for decades. People have, like, vanished into the grave wind and then reappeared years, decades later, continents away, which is what happened to Jabstein.
And, like, how long does he feel like he was in there?
He doesn't know he was in there at all.
Oh.
He doesn't know he was in the storm. The last thing he remembers was being in the Hells. So presumably a storm rolled through there, caught him, and he lost maybe like an hour as far as he's concerned.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, he was in stasis essentially.
I'm sorry I burned your question, babe. It was a good one.
No, and like and the other half of that question is in terms of commanding the dead army, they weren't functioning as an army because they weren't being led by one. They weren't being led by Aldo. Because Aldo's plan was to, like, he treated his allies, his soldiers, as expendable because he knew he had another army coming through the portal. He didn't know anything about them.
So they were just going to, like, thicken up his army. They weren't
Yeah.
going to, like, okay.
And they were going to follow his lead and probably go inside buildings and keep from teleporting away, and then he'd have this undead army with which he could, you know, lay siege and kill all the nobles. But that didn't happen, so they were just wandering undead. You guys fought one of them in the last episode. There was just a skeleton hanging out in the common quarter because it didn't get swept away by the storm. But a lot of things that showed up in the storm just stayed on the streets because all the buildings were empty, and they got tucked away.
I have a question for you, Mike, that you're probably not going to answer because I know you all too well.
Uh-huh.
What was up with the tower? What did you want us to do with the tower?
You didn't want us to do anything with the tower. That's why I made it so difficult.
I felt like it existed for a reason.
The tower existed to show you that buildings were not just disappearing, but also arriving from other places.
But was there anything in it? Because you wouldn't let us go inside.
It was it was an empty tower that was probably hundreds of years old before it got teleported and was empty and then collapsed into stones when it hit the ground. There was no more to explore there. I did not expect you guys to spend 10 minutes trying to get through the window of a broken down tower.
I don't believe him.
I believe you, and like I know that now because you made it really difficult for us to go in there, and like that's what DMs do. But the way that you had delivered the way that it fell was like,
It was honestly a Thor: The Dark World reference where it was like, oh, here's the thing falling towards you all. So it was like,
okay.
I wanted something that had the impact of that.
Now I
Gotcha.
believe you.
Well, here's the funny thing. Like, I fully expected you guys to be in the middle of combat when you were in the Gravewind. So that's a D100 roll to see what effects would happen. But you guys weren't in combat, so I was rolling constantly. So basically everything that could have happened, the mana core showing up with the Centurion dwarves, the buildings disappearing, the rusted wagon that appeared, zombies appearing, soldiers appearing, you guys disappearing, Jabstein appearing was like a really unlikely chance.
so
Like
you made a list of 100 things that could happen from the grave wind?
No, some of them are like 1 to 2.
Okay. Oh, gotcha.
So 1 to 2 was a random PC disappears in the Grave Winds, reappearing one round later, one ward closer to the palace. But
One ward?
the common quarter, the culture
Okay,
ward, that kind of thing. So because that's how Snuggles vanished and then appeared further away. He was an NPC. That was a different role. 3 to 6 was 2d6 skeletons appear. Then there was a building disappears. Ghouls appear, which is the last one that I think you guys rolled. Oh, no, it wasn't the last one because the last one was you guys disappearing. A unit of nearby soldiers / combatants from one of the armies disappeared. That didn't end up applying. Rust monsters could have appeared. A mixture of nearby soldiers / combatants from more than one army disappeared. Again, I thought you guys might be in full-on combat at that point. An undead wyvern could have appeared.
No.
A random named NPC disappears into the Gravewinds. They return in one round. That didn't end up happening exactly. Manicore appears along with the dwarves. A building or structure disappears. A rusted iron wagon appears. A fire giant disappears, reappearing on a roll of 70 or higher, because I thought the fire giants might be in play.
I would like to point out that we got this stuff at the desert tower done a lot faster than you assumed we would.
No, yes. That's 100%. Well, that basically was like, hey, if you guys don't go to him, he's coming to you.
Yeah.
So he would have arrived during the storm.
Gotcha.
I also feel like that, like, we didn't think we would win that fight.
No.
And we wouldn't.
No, there was a very real chance if you guys had fought and retreated that this could have still applied, but like half the things wouldn't have applied because like there wouldn't have been his army or there wouldn't have been like the giants or things like that. Zombies could have appeared. A random nearby animal disappears, reappearing in a nearby ward one round later. That's what happened to Snuggles.
No, Snuggles.
A group of soldiers on the party side appears, so supporters could have arrived, but Again, once the city was evacuated or like, hunkered underground, that was off the table because they wouldn't have been in the storm. A recently generated monster disappears. If none, then reroll. Octavia, the half-elf spy, appears carrying a pack of supplies. She was on her way out of town.
And then we're like, oh, yo, bitch.
She was not arrested. She was pardoned and dismissed. A group of fleeing civilians disappeared. That didn't apply because you guys did a very good job spreading the word about the evacuation. A castle tower made of black stone appears and collapses into the street. That's the end of that sentence. How do we get inside of it? All nearby undead creatures disappear, reappearing one round later, one ward further from the palace. If outside the city, they appear in the common quarter. Because there's a chance you guys could have fought on the desert outside the city, which would have been a terrible strategy, but totally could have happened. 2 minotaurs, one female, one male, appear, which happened. The party vanishes and briefly appears in the ethereal plane. That happened to you two. 1d8 ghouls with one ghast appear. That's the last thing that happened to you. Because the ghast is the one that can speak. And who said the name of the person who had sent them. A random named NPC disappears in the Gravelands. They return on the next roll of 15 or lower. A battered looking...
So they could have been gone forever?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Whoa.
98 to 99, a battered looking wizard with long blonde hair, Jabstein Kemp, appears. So that was a 2 out of 100 chance, or 1 in 50. And 100, a Matet NPC who is not present, list below, appears. This can be rolled more than once. And that happened, that's how that's how Bjorn Bay showed up, and that is also how Garmatar the Tooth Wizard showed up. Because I rolled 2 100s.
Oh my god.
Garmatar Tooth Man.
My puppet buddy.
Garmatar the Tooth Wizard, who I wasn't sure if you guys would ever have more interactions with, and then you guys just didn't.
So happy that he showed up again, though.
Yep, he survived. And we dropped his accent and was like, no, that's a stage persona. That's the thing about DMing. You don't really know what you're going to end up using, but I had so many plates spinning. Like I rewrote my notes for Matet like 4 different times.
Oh my gosh.
Because the first time was when I thought you might go to Mazra instead of Matet. Because I didn't know which way you guys were going to go. Because the choice in front of you was basically like, do you want to do kind of like a dungeon crawl, like look for a magic artifact mission, or more of a political campaign? And you guys chose the way more interesting one, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
There was a lot of interesting stuff that could have happened in Mazra and is still happening in Mazra with other people that you guys are not there for. Because other people were going there. So that stuff's still happening, just not to you guys.
Interesting.
So now we're on a completely different...
Are we going to come across a bunch of NPCs who've also been leveling up? And this is another podcast.
No,
You're cheating on us, Mike.
I actually fucked up. You guys camped on the road and I said like more people are coming, and I meant to introduce some people walking by you and be like, these are the people who are taking that mission, but I completely forgot to do it.
We need a rival team.
There are other potential rivals. I mean, you guys are heading to more...
We need our Newman.
No, I don't think you guys will end up meeting that group. But they are off doing a different mission, and for Desmond.
Fine.
But
fine.
That's all you can say. Fine, Mike.
We'll see what happens.
You can control what happens. This is your world.
Yeah.
You're the dungeon master.
Can't you just do what we want?
There were also 21 possible results of people who could have shown up because of the Gravelands.
I thought you were going to say 21 pilots.
Oh my god, I don't want to know who's on that list.
I mean, they're all the people that you guys met in Matet.
Oh, okay, no, right.
Like, it was just like, it was...
Wait, who did you think was on that list?
I can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
No, it was...
Oh, it's a backstory thing. That's not a joke thing.
No, it was not like Father Kodo, the guy from the temple, could have shown up. Like, Baron could have shown up. Like, Lord Moon could have shown up.
Oh, God.
Perrin could have come back.
Could Auntie have come back?
I said people you met during the campaign. It would have been more of a, this is your life.
I've met Auntie before.
Not in Matet.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that was the kind of the notes I had on that.
See what I mean, though? I'm always on edge being like, when is Mike going to use the backstory? Because what he'll do is he'll send me these text messages. And then I'm like, okay, he's going to use it in the next game. And then he doesn't. So now I have no idea.
Well, I thought I had nothing to worry about. And then Mike made my tattoo attack a person.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I have a lot to worry about. And I don't even know, like, you at least have words to put to it. I'm like, I don't even know if Auntie's a good person. I'm so worried.
You basically were like, I don't know anything.
Yeah, that tattoo came, or the scar, the way it functioned, came out of a long conversation I had with Andrew, our producer, Andrew Dickinger, and I just talking about like how it would work and function, and like kind of figured out
like a ring of spell storing.
Yeah, essentially.
Except it's so much more terrifying.
Oh, it's amazing.
I
Because it
love
only works when they die.
I love it so much. It's so good, but it's
Like
terrifying. And like, is Ivy a villain? Who's to say? Let's find out.
And indeed, let's find out. Next time we are going to start Act 3, Carol of the Hells, our holiday adventure. That does it for us. Until next time, kick some ass, take some names, and play fair and have fun.
Oh, we're part of the outro.
Oh, yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye and
Love
stuff.
you.